Jubilee, it's Dr. Doom.
What's on your evil mind?
Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really hired Mr. Stark?
Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I'm your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And sound effects you've heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, one agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the Borough of Kings, live and direct. Happy to be with y'all.
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
Indeed. Boy, Twitter, you used to have so much of a higher character count than this. Anyway, you can find this here podcast on the Cold Slither Podcast Network, that's cspn.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple, aka Apple iTunes, Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that definitely helps people find our show.
Indeed. Well, folks, you know, 'tis a couple of weeks before the big San Diego showdown. You know, I'm just saying we're here to warn you that it's a-coming. It is a-coming like an onslaught, some would say.
Oh, no.
But we'll get into that momentarily as to the potential of that statement. As we start to talk about this week's shows, starting off with My Adventures with Superman, Season 3, Episode 4, called Guess Who's Slammin' to Dinner?
Good God. Good God. Yeah, guess who's slamming to dinner? So what was teased at the end of episode 3 comes to light in the 4th episode. We have a pretty major appearance by a future character who goes back in time, very much Kyle Reese style in Terminator 2, right? Because apparently there's a Terminator-esque villain who is currently stalking Clark Kent and Lois Lane. Right? That's essentially the right. That's essentially
for a second I thought you were gonna say I'm gonna go back in time with the
that too. We've got a little bit of Terminator. We've got a little bit of Back to the Future. What, number 2 or 3?
Sure.
You know, trying to prevent something bad from happening in the past, and now we're dealing with what's going on in the future. You know, not just accidentally going back into the past, a la Marty and Doc Brown in the first one. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But yeah, we don't necessarily get to why there was this future. I mean, we saw the glimpse of it at the end of last episode, but the character never gets to round to their reason.
Right, we don't get a full explanation. Right, we do not get a full explanation. We get enough of an explanation in this episode to create stakes.
Mm-hmm.
Right, for the future episode, for episodes that follow, for the future storyline. So we do at least get that. We also get the continuation of the Jimmy Flamebird and Kara Zor-El passive aggressive behavior towards each other. That's still continuing. That's still happening. So,
and Kara doesn't even know what passive aggressive this is in Earth terms. So
right, and and this story is kind of the culmination of, I guess, the first two, actually no, the first 3 episodes worth of Lois's very early, I guess, quarter life crisis.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. She has a fear of the future and what it might bring, and she's still kind of wrestling with that, but she's starting to come around. Now, the funny part about this thing is, like, so going into the season, seeing some of the imagery that was been going around out there, it was like, that it suggests that a certain event in DC mythos might be coming in a roundabout way, although in a different fashion. Come to find out, that might not be the case, or a different version of that, a wholly different version of that could very well be the case. So by what this episode is possibly suggesting, because for folks that may or may not know, in the comic books, Superman died. That didn't happen, so that's not a spoiler. But it led to some characters coming into being, and some of the imagery was suggesting that, well, wait, if these characters are here, then that means something like that's going to happen. No, not really.
Right, because that's how we are. Well, in a certain way,
right,
we're introduced to some of these characters because of that happening.
Exactly.
So ultimately, we're definitely looking at an adaptation. Remember, it's an adaptation. Get it through your thick skull, Agent_70. It's an adaptation. It's not a word for word, panel for panel translation of what's on the printed page.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And again, and also, as like I said, another different universe with a different adaptation of how things went,
right,
and people and places and such. So that is a thing to kind of bear in mind going through this. But that doesn't make the show any less fun. It's just saying, like if you are, heaven forbid, a DC purist, and you're like, yeah, I know, line for line of this, that, and the other. God help you, because DC still bonkers history. Then yeah, you might feel some slight disappointment, as it's like, yeah, that's not how that happened. Even if they're trying to get to that point, which again, kind of, sort of, in a roundabout way, might be the case. We still don't know, but there's a couple of things that have already shown itself to be not the case, including this episode, and when the person from the future, we will not name, is in current DC continuity that wasn't in when the time that happened, by the by. Because we're all thinking, oh no, it's this other character. It's not. But they are using part of that character in a way for this character.
Yep.
So, mix up, mash up, rearrange in, weirdly enough, in a very DC way, sort of. But, in also a fun way. Like I said, we don't want to, even though this episode is like, 4 or 5 days old, we don't want to spoil, too much.
Listen, I just watched it today, so it's still relatively fresh in my mind.
Yeah, so did I. That's why, which is why I was like, I can go off the dome, because I only watched it a few hours ago. So, but we can say a couple of side stuff that does happen. Character comes from the future, which again we won't name right off the bat. And just like the last episode, and Kara gets kind of taken around to certain places, specifically one, as Lois proclaimed, like, oh no, not again. Nope, nobody broke out in the song this time, though. But, but the characters seem to have just as much of a time, going around the places. And we, as Agent 7 and I both noted before the show, this character is definitely taking some liberties from a couple of different characters. Like I said, the haircut would suggest one. The name and who the person is definitely suggests another. But there's another side character who has also come from the future that the character is exhibiting
characteristics
of. Thank you. I'm like, the word is there. I can find it.
No, it's all good. Like, I definitely see, it's definitely like a melding and amalgamation of several different characters, to give us like at least a relatively fresh take on this character. So
yeah, presumably, as far as I know, I don't know if, well, no, because they did. I was about to say, this character has not been in DC animated universe before, but that's not true, because I'm pretty sure they did something with that character, with the other character that person would normally be associated with.
Got it. Right, because the other character that this would be associated with is in Young Justice, but we do not have very much experience with this iteration of the character because it's still fairly new to me. You know, I know in publishing history, I don't think the character's all that new anymore. Because I know that they've even gone to certain depths of exploring the characters' relationships. Right, once they get to that part, they've already been relatively well established. So.
Oh yeah, and he has even taken up the mantle a couple of times for a short time.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I think character's probably like, a list of good at this point probably like good 10, 15 years probably if that. Maybe not 15, yeah. Probably closer to upwards of 10.
Right.
So, but nevertheless, you probably may or may not know who we're talking about of that, even if that's the case. That being said, though, yeah, My Adventures with Superman still fun. Still, they're going to a place as far as we may or may not know where they are going.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm having fun with it as well. There are definitely moments in during the show when I'm ready to punch out every single character on the screen. I'm also kind of 50-50 on Jack Quaid as Superman sometimes. Like, I think there are times when his voice is what's needed, but there are times when I listen to it and I'm like, no, that's not Superman. So, I'm 50-50 on it.
I get it because coming from another place, because he's played Boimler in Lower Decks. So.
Oh, really?
Yes. So.
Oh no, because I'm obviously using the boys reference.
Right, I know.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
But like I said, I know him from Lower Decks, and I was like, wow, Boimler's playing Superman. I think I even said that when the show started. So it's just kind of funny. And both of those shows were going on roughly around the same. Well, one was ending, but when the other was started, so it was like it's just weird to see hear his voice in these two different places playing.
All right, welcome Von Gloom to the show.
Yes.
I see you are in the chat.
Yes, and thank you for bringing something you brought up, Von Gloom. What's up, Von Gloom? Hopefully you're going to stick around for a minute because boy, we got something for you if you don't know about some news. Anyway, Von Gloom says Hank Henshaw is pretty much upgrading Metallo, which you said that the last episode, and yeah, I'm seeing it more and more than now as you're saying that. Also says Lex is way too cocky. Well, yeah, and I love how pragmatic Slade is. Slade was just downright like, you know what? I told you so, you dumbass. Without saying the words. But yeah, so in this episode, Hank Henshaw is kind of showing his dominance a little bit more. So therein lies that with the people he's aligned with. So yeah. Oh, good for you. No work tonight.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah. Yes.
That's it. Von Gloom also says Superman is way too naive sometimes. This version, well, honestly, any version of Superman you can kind of put that on. But yeah, this version is purposely like that, though.
Right. And and because this version's really not exposed to other heroes in the DCU, where who kind of provide him with additional perspectives on things. Right.
There has been no Bat in this universe, and I don't think there's going to be.
Right.
That would be a shock if they actually do that, because that would mean they would be setting up for another Batman show in this universe, which I don't know if a bright sunny Batman in this universe would be real weird, gotta say. Or lightly moody, I guess you would say, because I don't know if they would just very much put him the Dark Knight, put a whole lot of Dark Knight in a show set in this universe. Listen, we're already getting a Jessica Cruz show, and we already see where that's going, and we potentially might be seeing another show from a side character. But we'll talk about that a little later in the news. But yeah, anyway, that is pretty much it for My Adventures with Superman. Well on his way to where they're going to get to. I suspect probably the next episode is when the shoe's going to drop on that stuff. Sorry, dropping on that show.
That's funny.
Because because there's only
the latest comment. That's funny.
Yes, and I love the fact that Agent 70 can get that reference now.
That's funny.
So yeah, I'm not gonna say it because like for folks who, you know,
We haven't really
yet.
spoiled it. Right, exactly. We haven't not really spoiled it for the folks who haven't watched it. So,
But all I will say is there's a Dragon Ball Z reference that was just made, and that was kind of funny.
Right.
That having to do with a character. So, yes. One storyboard artist posted preliminary designs of John as that character. Huh, interesting. And I just forget what I just said. Audio people ain't gonna hear what I just said. So, but interesting nonetheless. I knew he was gonna get me one of these comments, but and there you go. All right, next up we are going to talk about I'm Your Baby, or I'm Your X-Men Tonight. This week's version with X-Men.
You know that's what you were talking about. You know we led off last week with the Whitney Houston reference, talking about X-Men '97. So that was a really sly way to do it as well.
And I totally forgot to when I was editing the show last week. I totally forgot to do that. I think I did put in X-Men. I put the X-Men stinger in there, but I didn't mash up the two like I was going to. Either way, X-Men '97 Season 2, Episode 3, which is called Rise of Apocalypse Part 2.
Right. So we get to the second half of this two-part story where the X-Men do some really, like, we know this is not going to end well because we've seen multiple timey-wimey time travel stories where, you know, this is why you can't go back into the past and kill baby Hitler. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
Right? This is their version of that story. They're trying to execute that story and they find out it doesn't work. And ultimately, you know, Magneto's trying to do his best to follow the path of Xavier and try to reform or at least guide Apocalypse as quote unquote, well, let's just say guide him down the path of down the Xavier path, down the Xavier version of the future, and it all goes to hell. Right? It just goes to hell. Unfortunately, one of the character voiced by Michael Dorn dies. Again, minor spoilers. You're gonna have to watch it to understand who I'm talking about. But like I said, it all goes to hell. Most of the X-Men get transported back into the present, presumably, and one of the two people who is left behind bites the bullet, and we're left thinking about the after effects on the person who survives.
Yes.
What did you think about the episode? Because I went through just a real quick recap of it. You know, what did you think of the episode, Roddykat? I thought it was okay, and we'll get to a post-credit stinger after this.
Yeah. So it was trying to be as impactful as the last time a character it got unlifed on this program.
Unalived.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
That's the way the internet calls it.
Yes, that's what the
unalived.
Utes, yes, that's what the Utes call it. But yeah, so in certain ways, it kind of absolutely went that way. I don't think it's as impactful because that one was like, oh, I wasn't really expecting that one. With this one, especially if you know the character that doesn't make it out of this, his history from the comics, like, okay, yeah, this has kind of happened to him before, or not like this, put it that way, but similar things have happened to him to where he's not around, you know, for a while. But that being said, yeah, I think Agent 70 told me before the show that this could potentially be a way that we get another 90s event character. Yeah, event / character. Actually, I was thinking of another one because as I told Agent 70, and shout out to Matt Wang who just showed up in the chat saying, can you try biatches? What's going on?
Oh no!
What's going on, Matt? Actually, we were talking about you before the show.
Yes.
About a thing that I'm sure we'll contact you about.
What's going on at Matt Wang 97?
Yes, indeed. But to try to get back to my train of thought. So,
he's very good at that. He's very good at that.
He is indeed. But yeah, just some roundabout stuff on the show. Like I said, like you just said, yeah, the folks in the past trying to get back to the future. To bring that back up. As he said, some of it happened. The ones that got left on, like he said, kind of have a thing. They didn't stop anything, sort of. I am still kind of curious as to whether, because I said this before the show, and I'll say it again now. This could have been, and still could very well be, a roundabout way. Although it would have probably been sort of halfway called out at the end of the show, and it wasn't. But this could have been a roundabout way for them to get to Age of Apocalypse.
Possibly. And Roddykat and I were not 100% sure. We did not really do any kind of legwork on this.
Right.
But I think we both suspect that they did do they did touch on Age of Apocalypse in the previous iteration of X-Men the animated series.
I believe, yes. I'm still kind of believing that something like that might have happened, but I am not entirely sure. So Von Gloom, that is exactly the thing that Agent 70 brought to my attention before the show. That somebody that those folks out there have been saying.
Right.
So we shall see if that ends up happening. Given they've pretty much thrown a whole lot of stuff at the wall, or have been throwing a whole lot of stuff at the wall, it's possible. It's quite possible. Like you could very much see it. Yeah, you could very much see it coming out of this episode. So I wouldn't be surprised at all. But that being said, like I said, without giving too much away on what happens, we don't know. Well, we kind of sort of don't know. We can fairly safely assume that it didn't go the way of Age of Apocalypse, because we did end up getting a post-credit scene that was also a callback from a thing in the comics, the X-Men comics as well. That I was like I told Age of 70, they did pretty much almost everything but the cover pose. But so.
Right,
yeah,
one of my favorite covers, and if I dropped our virtual background, you'd be able to see that cover as a poster on my wall in my home office.
Is it 297? Am I tripping about the number?
268.
Okay, I was very much wrong. Yeah. I was in 200s. That was close enough. But Von Gloom says they did Age of Apocalypse in Wolverine and X-Men. Yeah, that don't count, though. We're talking about in... which I still need to watch that show, actually, because I watched a couple episodes of it, and I never did go back and watch it. That and that other X-Men, the Teen X-Men one. I need to go and watch that one as well. Wayne thought it is a reference to the lead-in to Inhumans versus X-Men. So... actually, that also brings up something else, because so let's just say there's some Eternals leaning, Eternals leaning and Externals leaning things that was name dropped, shown and dropped, put it this way, in this episode, because another notable time traveler that has been in the last couple of episodes kind of name drops himself. We absolutely do get some Eternals leaning imagery in this as well. Possibly suggesting, at least in this version of the universe, that there had some things happen. And maybe I can't remember if that actually was the case in comics history as well. It was like whether the tech that was potentially used was leaning towards that or not. Don't know. But there is a whole bunch of stuff, like I said, that have been doing it. But this is also still as far as I can tell, outside of the one version of the character that shows up here for 5 seconds, still a MCU-ish leaning character or universe, so to speak. So Wang says Wolverine versus X-Men designs were done by I didn't know
Kari
that.
Randolph.
Kari Randolph.
I didn't know that either.
But that's, given it our sound, that makes sense. So like I said, I did not know that. But that's cool. I love Kari Randolph's. Von Gloom, you know better than to ask a question like that. Who doesn't, Matt? At this point. Von Gloom asked in the chat, Kari Randolph? Of course he does. Of course he does.
Right.
What kind of question
I
is
don't know
that?
him like I've met him a couple of times. So
I feel like I've met him. Actually, I think I did met him. I think he was at Heroes one year, which is what we were talking about. Actually, he might be a staple there. Oh, he was.
there's
Zone
an
as
understatement right there, Von Gloom.
Yeah. Yes. Very, very understatement.
That's an understatement.
We have established this in previous times, many times. So yeah, and hey Matt. By the way, you know what time it almost is, sir. No pun intended, or maybe yes. Matt knows him from Wayne. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, Wayne knows him from his 4Kids days. Wait, was he?
Yeah.
Was he in 4Kids before he got into comics, or was it he was already into comics and just went into transitioned over? Because I know that's how some folks have done.
I think that's the case. I think he was in both.
Yeah.
He already had comics experience, and then he was doing some card stuff and animation stuff as well.
Gotcha. But yeah, Matt.
I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Matt would have the best info on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Yeah, 6 degrees of Matt Wayne. I mean, you could probably do it.
We could connect to a lot of people.
Yes.
That way.
More directly into the comics book, probably more than that, but in the comics wise, yes, absolutely, and probably again going further than that. But
yep,
if we're keeping if we're keeping in what we got going on right now, absolutely.
What Roddykat was getting at was that lo and behold, the calendar approaches a certain time. And go ahead.
Yes.
San
Diego's coming up. You already know, Matt, because I'm pretty sure you already got your stuff going on. So hopefully we will see you shortly after San Diego. But we know you got stuff going on. Let's see. I think it was in both. He was storyboarder for Turtles. I did not know that either. I worked with him on Chaotix. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I did not know that about you. I'm finding out all kind of stuff tonight on this here show. But yeah. Anyway, so because we could talk about that all night, and I'm sure we will be talking about that more going forward. But yes, like I said, looking forward to seeing what you get into in San Diego in a couple of weeks, Matt. So, because it's already shaping up to be something. That being said, though, I think we're going to, if we don't have anything else on X-Men 97, because like I said, anything else too far will get spoilery, and we don't want to do that. But we will go back, circle back around and say that, yes, there's a post-credit scene, and I already said that part that there's some comic leaning imagery in that joint, which, what, I've seen that and I've read that issue, and I was like, you know what? Sure.
I mean, I suspect it's going to be a remix on that story, because I think it's also going to tie into some Weapon X stuff, because that's obviously what's involved in that post-credit scene.
Yes.
So some information. What's funny is that it almost mirrors a scene between Black Widow and Captain America at the end of Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Right, where a file gets handed over, and the subject is a certain someone or a certain something, and that kickstarts another story going forward.
Right, gotcha. Right. And so, and I can safely say that yes, given what we see in that post-credit scene and the title of the next episode, which I happen to peep out before the show, yeah. We can safely say that that's definitely stuff. We're going to be venturing back into more Weapon X stuff.
Yep.
Because they definitely did kind of do some stuff like that in the first series. So that's not out of the realm of possibilities for this show. So that being said, that was X-Men 97 for this week. And that concludes our show block for this week. We're going to get into the comic books of the week. Starting off with ThunderCats, SilverHawks, number 4 of 5.
Wow, number 4 of 5. Goodness gracious.
Mm-hmm.
So this is 4 of 5. ThunderCats, SilverHawks, number 4 of 5 is written by Declan Shalvey, with art by Drew Moss, Alessandro Rinaldi, and Joe Mulvey. Colors on this book are by Igor Monti, and letters are by Jeff Eckelberry. So it kind of plays out finally in the penultimate issue of this book, where the two teams figure out what's going on. They find out who their mutual enemy is. They stop fighting each other and team up to fight their mutual enemy. Isn't that right, Roddykat? It finally happens 4 issues into this 5-issue series.
For the most part. And I'm assuming that's it for this crossover, because again, there's still a couple of big bads floating out there in the wings. That one has shown up in another book that is tied to this crossover. Another one has a book of its own. And neither one of them have shown up in this main books, which pretty much leads me to think that it's not going to happen this time. But it's probably going to, there's probably going to set up another crossover to where those two are going to go in cahoots, and we're going to
I think that's pretty accurate. I think that thinking is spot on. And what I will end with, and Roddykat will chime in about this because he's reading the other tie-in team-up book, that Thunderhawks book, abuts and just basically, rams into this particular crossover story right at the end in a cliffhanger ending for this issue.
So at least, which is good, because that was been their whole thing. Like the Thundercats lost team, which is technically those 3 Thundercats that come in later seasons of the animated series, plus a couple of more, had their own book for a while. Then they get shunted to the future, and they end up as a part of this crossover, and now they're back in the present with folks. So for the most part, like I said, don't want to give up too much. A thing happens that was a big explosion that thought could have been the end of a character, which turns out may or may not be the case. But we also get the meeting of a couple of other, one part of the equation meets another part of the equation. There's a fastball special that happens out in space, which I don't see how that happened the way that did. But you know what? Hey, that character's kind of strong, but it's still space. Just saying. But it's also, hey, it's comic books, cartoon fit logic, so things happen. Again, the fight between the whole dark. Oh yeah, we also get some more information on the big bad of this crossover, which just so happens to be apparently, some long running thing that's adjacent to the SilverHawks that apparently their chief didn't know anything about. And we get the information about that, and we get a little bit more information about that as the fight progresses, because if you know anything about how the SilverHawks were made and who they're crossing over with, we find that there's a little bit more tie into this, and where they are in all of this. So yeah, all of that kind of comes out in this particular issue before, the other future team kind of comes into play. And we also find out, hey, little Lionel can still fight. So good on him, even though he's still kind of shrunk. He's been de-aged in this. So yeah, it was a pretty good issue, I would say, of this. Like I said, leading into, and I just noticed the typo that I had in my thing, but that's fine. Didn't necessarily need to bring that out on audio, but it's fine. So lead into the last issue of the crossover proper, and the last stage of the crossover with the other 2 books, because they're still, the other 2 books still have a couple of issues that need to pop out. We will see if what I said earlier is actually going to be the case, but I feel fairly confident that if they don't set it up at the end of this, probably in Thundercats proper, there's going to be some toying with that. Hopefully, I would like to believe, and maybe they'll bring back the SilverHawks book. Who knows? Because that book was actually not bad. So I don't know why I don't know whether it kind of died because of low sales or because it wanted to get to a point to where
it was scheduled to maybe to get to that point and then maybe reboot or restart.
Right, to set this up and then go back into their own thing, which we know it's still a shared universe. So therein lies that. And with that, though, we are going to... Von Gloom, are you still in the chat? If you are, let me know, because I need you to brace yourself. Because the next book that we are going to talk about is Transformers number 34.
Transformers number 34 is written by Robert Kirkman, with art by Jason Howard, colors are by Mike Spicer, and letters are by Russ Wooten. So yeah, it's a Robert Kirkman book. So you know what happens in Robert Kirkman books, right? Bodies hit the floor. In this case, robot bodies hit the floor. But before that happens, we get some more kind of G.I. Joe X Transformer crossover. And I was informed by Roddykat that the character depicted on the cover of this issue is actually a Transformers character. It's not Doc Brown wearing a skull cap, but it's definitely somebody who pre-exists, or at least existed previously in the Transformers lore. I thought it was a deep cut. Apparently it's not, because it was in the animated series. Was it the G1?
Oh yeah, G1. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, G1. So I'm just like, what is this Doc Brown looking dude? Who is that guy? I don't know who that is.
I would still say it's still a deep cut, though. I still say it was a deep cut. But this character has been around a few episodes of, it's not a one-off character basically in the thing. But yeah, so we start off with Zartan. General Flag talking to Optimus after finding out what happened to Optimus, and the passing of the Matrix. No Wayne, no Tiger Sharks Lord. Hey, we got Street Sharks. There was a book, the Nacelle folks did that book, so you got close to Sharks. And I'll get to what Von Gloom says. He looks too big. I don't think so. So like I said, Flag and Optimus chop it up. Flag asks for a favor from Optimus, but also apparently he seems to know Spark. Wow, how did I forget his name? Because I want to call him Buster. Sparkplugs. He knows the wikis.
Spike.
Apparently, Spikes. Thank you, Spike. So apparently they had a nice little but they had a little interaction. But then, and apparently Flag doesn't know what happened to Sparkplug. But that's fun. No one needs to talk about that one. So we get a little bit of that. We get a little bit of like I said, Flag goes to visit the person on the cover, who's Dr. Henry Archiveld, who. Yeah, folks who may or may not remember him from from the show, a little bit paranoid. They kind of captured that a little bit here, but also apparently he in this version of Flag has some business. We know who Flag is at this point, but whether Archiveld does, I don't think so, or no one else in the universe outside of probably Destro, and a couple other people. Know who is actually behind the mask. That's later. That has nothing to do with later either. But he is behind the mask apparently. So there you go. Von Gloom. Thundercracker pretty much is like, hey, talking to the aerial boss and like, hey, look, there's this thing I need to go check out because Optimus is kind of missing some stuff, and I went to some shit. So we need to go and check this out. Having to do with a fourth party. I don't want to call them a third party because technically you can call them a third party or a fourth party, but if you're counting the Dreadnoks, somebody's going to be the fourth party. And it's not the Dreadnoks. We've already been there. So Thundercracker's like, hey, let's go check this out. And the aerial bot's like, sure. Before we get into Von Gloom's favorite character and Cliffjumper getting into some big trouble. Just the two of them. That's all I'll say about that. That's all I'm saying about that. Because Von Gloom, if you haven't read the issue, you might want to read it. I'm actually surprised you hadn't read it by now, but therein lies that. Von Gloom actually in the chat says he's Christopher Lloyd. Times have been tough after Back to the Future. Money dried up. And here we go. So these Von Gloom also says these mofos better make their toy available post haste, or there will be consequences. They're doing a lot of things over at Hasbro Pulse, including a crossover that I'll talk about later on in the show that may have been purchased or may have been pre-ordered already. But, they're close. They're not there, but they are close. That's all I will say on that for right now. But yeah, that's Transformers 34. Another deepish cut in the Transformers lore kind of comes out. That may or may not be working for Zartan unknowingly. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Oh, so if you're thumbing through it, you know what? Hey, it kind of worked out. Von Gloom says they made the most moronic battle decision. That may or may not be true, but given what was going on and given, Given what was going on, I don't think they would have been able to get away from it. Let's put it this way. And Von Gloom says they made the wrong. Nice. So so we're definitely going to get to it. So Wang ordered what I was talking about earlier, and like I said, I'm not going to say what it is right now, but we'll talk about that And I also ordered it, Wang. So there you go. And hey, Von Gloom, who's to say that was the wrong transforming van or not? That's all I'm saying. Who's to say? It's a good crossover, though. That's probably one of the few they haven't done just yet. Might be one of the last. We'll see. That being said, so we can hurry up and kind of get to that point because it's before it gets too late. That is it for Transformers 34. Hopefully something can be done. That's all I can say about that. The last book that we are going to talk about is Black Cat, 9 Lives, Short Days, Long Nights. Number 12.
Living on the Edge, Not Afraid to Die. Black Cat number 12. Written by G. Willow Wilson with art by Andre Genole. Colors are by Brian Reber and letters are by our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. This issue kind of plays out the way the issue that we just talked about prior to this works out, because it's combatants figuring out that there is a greater good to be reached or to be fought for, and they turn out to they turn to each other and say, you know what, we're going to end up teaming up against this greater threat. So as it happened in ThunderCats SilverHawks number 4, so it also happens here in Black Cat number 12 between Felicia and one Francis Castle, aka the Punisher, in Black Cat number 12. But before all that happens, or while in the midst of all that happening, so like some really fun hijinks ensue. We're still not 100% sure if Felicia has her bad luck power working, or if they're really just ineffective against the Punisher for one reason or another. But we're kind of putting all that aside to get to where we finish this issue. What did you think about it, Roddykat?
Yeah, all of that is true. And on that note, because I'm willing to believe that it's like, Frank doesn't believe in a whole lot of things, especially luck. So therefore, it grants him sort of immunity to it. Because I don't. So it's been established various ways how Felicia's power works. Whether the person knows about it, like it probably works more if the person believes that it could possibly happen. I don't know. I think that at one point that might have been the case. I don't recall. But regardless, whatever's going on here, you got two stubborn ass people going up against each other because one wants an apology and the other one was like, no, but you're going to let me know why in the world, you're not affected by what's going on here. So yeah, Von Gloom, they are still a thing, but like I said, they kind of they kind of changed the criteria of it a little bit, or how it kind of happens over the years. And I think they're kind of, whatever this version is kind of going for, they may be changing it still. So as Agent 70 said, it kind of leads to hijinks, but also, of course, what happens in the books like this, when two opposing forces, heroic type forces, kind of butt heads, there's the inevitable team up that happens at the end of this. So that's what we got to look forward to next issue, which is Unlucky Number 13 or Lucky Number 13, which whether that was in on purpose or not, you know what, the timing was still there. So Bangloop says Frank's grim outlook for the win. He's telepathy resistant among others. Is he? Well, yeah, I guess because that did kind of happen. It was like, yeah, people were getting taken over by a thing, and then he kind of was resistant and something. I can't remember what that was, but I do remember that being a thing coming up. So he's just that stubborn and not to believe in anything, and therefore resistant to all of them, I guess, is what they're trying to say with this. Right.
I definitely enjoyed this issue. This is a surprise candidate for Click of the Week for me, because there are a couple of panels in this that, that I love. It's definitely a little bit of breaking the fourth wall that G. Willow Wilson is employing in this arc, in this story. In this run on Black Cat, where she's definitely employing a little bit of that fourth wall breaking. And the fact that she's looking at us and admits that, you know what, I'm doing this with a healthy amount of spite, just really connected with me. I was like, you know what, that's good for you, Felicia. Good for you for recognizing that you're doing this with a healthy amount of spite, Maybe not out of spite, but just with a healthy amount of it.
Yeah, as Wayne points out, yeah, the cover is great. If you're watching the video version, you can see said cover. I didn't.
Get better soon, Adam Hughes. Not that we always appreciate Adam Hughes covers, but these the artists who are supplying the covers in his stead are doing a great job.
Yeah. Yes. Indeed. But yeah, like I said, yeah, as I just said, yeah, potential click of the week here also for this one. But with that ends all of the books that we have in common. Let's get to rapid fire.
Alrighty, folks, rapid fire review time. Here we go.
I ain't got time to bleed.
All right, first up for me is Absolute Batman number 22. It's written by Scott Snyder with art by a different artist this month, Werther Deladera. I think that's probably the right way to pronounce it. Werther Deladera. Colors are by Frank Martin, and letters on this book are by Tom Napolitano. So we get kind of a curveball thrown at us in this issue. We get the surprise reveal of the origin of the absolute Harley Quinn, right? Thrown together with the continuing exploits of the absolute Harley Quinn and absolute Batman as they're striking back at the absolute versions of Robin, right? The multiple versions of Robin as they're being, as they're set against each other in the absolute version of Gotham. And there's a big reveal at the end as to who is the, let's just say the parental lineage of Harley Quinn. And that's a pretty interesting twist in this absolute version of these characters. This is definitely a candidate for Click of the Week. For me, I thought that Werther Deladera's art on this was really effective at telling a great story that was going to be hard to tell, and the panel work, and the sequencing in the panels I thought was really good. Absolute Catwoman number 2 of 6 is written by Scott Snyder and Che Grayson with art by Bengal. Colors are by Giovanna Nero, and letters are by Lucas Gattoni. Surprise, this is also a candidate for Click of the Week for me, because this Absolute Catwoman series is doing a great job of exploring one of the characters who's been treated as a side character in Absolute Batman so far, right? Because if you remember the conceit in Absolute Batman, his rogues gallery are his friends that he's grown up with, right? And now they're being slowly transformed into the absolute version of his rogues gallery. What we get in this Absolute Catwoman series is an exploration of some of Selena Kyle's origin story, not told, basically being told in its own book as opposed to being told in the pages of Absolute Batman. And it's pretty fun. It's pretty interesting. And to see the adult version of Absolute Catwoman really going to town on a heist, on a pretty big heist, and we, over the course of this heist, get to meet and go through, one, flashbacks, and two, actively finding out where her former colleagues, cohort, compatriots, all of that put together. We get to see where all of those puzzle pieces fit together. I really enjoyed it. It's a 6-issue series, so if you're going to jump on now. Next up for me is Barbara Gordon Breakout number 3. It's written by Mariko Tamaki with art by Amanke Nahuelpan. Colors are by Tamra Bonvillain, and letters are by Ariana Mar. So this is the 3rd issue of this series, and we're finally getting to see Barbara Gordon use some detective skills and try to get to a point where her detective skills may be running into a roadblock, and we'll see if she's able to get past this roadblock to figure out how she's been drawn into this trap that's been set at at this prison for her, because it seems like someone knows that she's Batgirl and that someone knows that she's in there to do something about some murders that have been happening. So we're finally getting to a little bit of a turning point in the story. We're 3 issues in. I'm not 100% sure how long this series is going to last. There's no indication that it's a limited series, so we'll see how long this story takes to play out. Next up for me is Daredevil number 4. It's written by Stephanie Phillips with art by Lee Garbett. Colors are by Frank Martin, and letters are by VC's Ariana Mar. Daredevil is still chasing this new villain who's been created for this opening arc in Stephanie Phillips's Daredevil. That new villain's name is Omen, and we're definitely dealing with some creepy body horror stuff here. I think that Daredevil finally settles into being the hero that we know him to be, and using some of the skills that he has outside of just being a radar sense and a super sense guy. So hopefully this series continues to develop. I do miss more of the Daredevil or Matt Murdock as law professor. There's not so much of that part in this issue, but it makes sense because it's the 4th issue in what's going to be presumably a 5-issue arc to open up this this new volume. So we're probably going to get to some kind of reveal or semi-conclusion for this story arc in the next issue. We'll see where that goes from there. We'll see where we go from there. Next up for me is Uncanny X-Men number 31. It's written by Gail Simone, art by Jim Toe and David Baldion. Colors are by Matthew Wilson, and letters are by VC's Clayton Cowles. Roddykat's got a piece of candy, I guess, while he's waiting for me to get through my rapid fire. In this issue, we find out that the aliens that have come to Louisiana are there for a reason. And we get some bad translation by Mutina, of all people, because she's, I guess, semi-telepathic. I kind of forget what her powers are. They haven't really gone through what her powers are, but ultimately, we find out that these aliens may not be what they seem, and we also find out that where the X-Men have found themselves a new base of operations is not always, or not everything is as it seems. So Uncanny X-Men number 31, that is also candidate for Click of the Week for myself. Last but not least is Wolverine number 23. It's written by Saladin Ahmed with art by Julius Ota. Colors are by Jesus Bertov, and letters are by VC's Corey Petit. So this similarly explores Wolverine utilizing some of his other skills other than his ferocity and adamantium skeleton and healing factor, because a lot of that stuff is failing him and or being compromised actively by someone who is revealed in this issue. And we get the introduction of a relatively new bad guy in this, or actually no, just a new bad guy in this issue. So for any speculators out there, if you think that this character is going to have any kind of traction, this is a first appearance for you. I did like that, this issue, showed Wolverine as being a thinking man's brawler, as opposed to, just being a savage beast who's on a hair trigger. But, I think it just depends on the writer, and it depends on how they're depicting him. And that's it for me. Oh, no.
Sorry, still chewing. So Matt says, hold on a second. There we go. Sorry for chewing in the camera, but or chewing in the mic. Von Gloom says, Matt says the issue 2 of Barbara Gordon was so thematically different from issue 1. Really threw Wang off. Von Gloom says Taskmaster continues to be a jobber, which is going to bring me to the question I'm about to have. The WWE should hire him at this point. So, how much of a factor was Tasky in this issue?
He was a factor because he was being augmented in an interesting way, in a way that took away from Wolverine. We'll put it that way, without me spoiling everything.
Okay. But and Von Gloom's not wrong, because every time, like, you know what, need some dirty work to do, or somebody to be trained or something like that, Taskmaster was like, "Yep, here I am."
Of course, of course.
They hired me to do a thing. I'm doing the thing.
Right. There's a reason why I was rooting for this version of Taskmaster, and I think we're going to get this Tony Masters version of Taskmaster in the MCU over that awful catastrophe that happened in Black Widow. So
and Matt says, as we told Elmo, which, when did this happen? Pick a side. How many Kliqs of the week can you have? You can have as many as you've read per week. And
no, we have candidates. Candidates.
I mean, to be fair, I think, well, I don't know if Matt's been here, but I have absolutely have had a couple in a week. By some sort of virtue. It might not happen this week, but still. See, poor Elmo, Von Gloom says he got Rocco to deal with. Who is Rocco? And the hate of New York. Wait, what's going on in the chat? I know we were talking about Candy earlier, but
no, that's still Elmo.
Oh, okay. I'm like, maybe there's some.
That's still Elmo. Rocco is another Sesame Street character.
Okay, I was about to say that's some Sesame Street lore that's lost on me apparently.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I did see a couple of the Super 7 Sesame Street characters. Like, I think they had Burton early in my comic shop, and I almost picked them up, but I wanted, and I know there's a typewriter guy. I absolutely want typewriter guy. And of course the Yip aliens. I want those, but I can't find them. Well, I know where they are. I can get them online, but I haven't seen them around here.
Right. The Big Bird is really tempting for me.
The Big Bird is also, yeah. Or the Oscar the Grouch, but if they made a Ralph one, I'll put them up near my other one. But I don't think they made a Ralph one. Anyway, back to comic books, so because that toy section is coming up later on for certain. For myself, we're going to get into a little bit of magic mumbo jumbo with, and that caramel is good. I might see if I can melt a little bit of it for later. Sorcerer Supreme number 8, written by Steve Orlando, art by Bernard Chang, excuse me, color artist, and I'm blaming that on the caramel. Color artist Ruth Redmond, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. So last issue, Wanda met the Sorcerer Supreme of the Quantum Realm, whose name is Turin, and they teamed up and might be having a little bit of spark with each other. And this particular issue is the big bad is still firing off some stuff, of which we get a little bit more on the big bad, who's named called the Extinction King. He's out there in space. We find out a little bit more of his origin in this issue, and yes, it has to do with some magic leaning stuff, the Vishanti and elder gods and yada yada yada. And his beef against magic, we get a little bit of, but not much. While Wanda and Turin is battling the thing that was in space, ready to take another shot at the Earth, of which Wanda handles in a particularly interesting, uniquely way. That ends up making another character that, if you go by X-Men 97 / X Factor parlance, technically it was a ship, but it was a weapon. So a weapon has turned into a person, and now that person is kind of just out there, thanks to Wanda. And I'm pretty sure it's probably going to show up in a couple more issues later on down the line, because certainly something's going to happen. But we get a couple of cameos by DeWoo and one of Wanda's sons, Tommy, who is also working for the Wu and the UN on that level, before Wanda and Turin gets swept off to fight another machination of the Extinction King. Not to be confused with the extinction agenda for you X folks. Yeah. Next up, though, speaking of space, we get a little bit of a Fantastic Four with Fantastic Four First Foes Shalabal number 1 shot. I'm still blaming the caramel. It's not the caramel. Written by Charles Soule, art by Mark Buckingham, cover artist Alex Sinclair, and the backup page is written by Ryan North and with art by Phil Noto. And all of the lettering is done by VC's Joe Caramagna. So, as the name implies, this is the Shalabal version of the Silver Surfer from the movie. This is definitely set prior to the movie, of course. If it's not apparent, and it probably wouldn't be apparent if you haven't read it. But we get a little bit of a thing that Galactus has a Shalabal doing well before she meets the FF. You know what a Silver Surfer, you know what a Herald of Galactus does, and if you don't, do some reading. But I feel like there's enough folks that know what the Silver Surfer does, and that ends up kind of happening. But of course, the Silver Surfer Shalabal ends up getting in the midst of a war before a thing happens, which kind of had the story going. It was like, wait, so you mean to tell me this is not going to happen? No, it does. It does. But we just get a little bit of action with the character doing some work on a planet prior to that. And the like I said, the backup story is basically a Mr. Fantastic and Herbie thing with a cameo by Ben, as they do a little bit more science facts back there that's kind of amusing. Next up, and I believe last for me, is Mask number 2, written by Dan Waters. I need to check that again because I think I might have messed up on that one. No, that's probably right. Dan Waters, art by pore, colors by Pierluigi Castellino, and letters by Russ Wooton. So, last issue, Venom was looking for a part in probably a version of Greenland, what it seems like. Yes, it's probably something Cybertronian. We don't know that just yet, but it was billed as ancient tech that's been here for a while. That, of course, Venom's going to use to try to get rid of the Cybertronians that are on Earth. But, of course, you got one Matt Tracker and the team who just mobilized, armored style in a strike force fashion, strike command fashion, excuse me. Let me get that right. Who are also on the case. And we meet a couple of members of the team specifically who end up having an adventure. And we find out a little bit about both of them and their iterations in this universe. Because, if you know Mass from the cartoon, yes, we get a little bit about it. We don't get a whole lot about it because they're just like, yeah, here's a team. They go on missions, go. But like I said, we get a little bit more of a couple of the two team members that are on the case here, and of course Matt's there, but he's not on the mission. But the two folks that are, like I said, as I said, get a little bit more on them. We find out, of course, in this universe, one of them's tied to let's just say tied to a G.I. Joe adjacent bad guys company, put it that way, or has had some dealings with said company, as we find out about them. But yeah, this is a potential click of the week as well for myself. But yeah, so far the book is still starting off kind of strong. They're still staying to, like, they haven't really, there's no Cybertronians in here as far as I know, but that one part that they were looking for did kind of look like a familiar part of a familiar triple changer, but I don't think that was the case. Don't know. Regardless, that is that, and that is it for me. Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week.
I do want to mention before we get into it, because I know, well, this is going to come up later on. G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, number 330 came out this week. I kind of skimmed through it before before we started recording, and there's news about that, of another crossover that is coming up that we will be talking about, and a figure that we've already talked about, that was introduced. Quite unlikely figure, by the way, that was introduced at the end of this issue, funnily enough. But that being said, oh yeah, and apparently there's a Zara book that came out this week. I meant to read that. But anyway, Age of 70, what you got?
I think, I've got my potentials, being the absolute group of books, Absolute Batman and Absolute Catwoman, number 22 and 2 respectively, and Black Cat number 12, and believe it or not, Uncanny X-Men number 31 as well. So I did have 4 candidates this week. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt any of those, because I know you've been heavy on those. For myself, Mask number 2, as I said. I did pick up a couple more covers off of that, but that's fine. ThunderCats, SilverHawks number 4 of 5 actually is another one. Black Cat number 12 is another one. No, Matt, not that one actually. One that was prominently shown in Transformers the movie, by the way. Which actually, speaking of, there was what was it, issue 3, I believe, of the Transformers the movie adaptation was re-released this week by Skybound. So therein lies the thing. If you did not get that prior to the apology tour coming upon us, which it will be in a couple of months, then hey, you can relive that trauma in book form as well. What was the other? So I said Black Cat, ThunderCats, SilverHawks, Mask, Transformers number 34. Yeah, kind of also. Which pretty much is most of my books for this week, but those are pretty much those.
All right. I think for me, what it comes down to are going to be the books that I had the most fun reading. So it's really going. Yeah, it's definitely going to be, that the four of them are really tight in that regard. But I think I'm going to go with the book that was fun, but also had some interesting reveals. So I'm going to go with Absolute Batman number 22.
Okay. And yes, Matt, we know we've tried to get some info out of you about Skybound in the past, if you remember. And of course, media training always shines through. You gotta love it. So for Agent 70, there's Batman number 22. For myself, I would also definitely say Black Cat is probably up there, and Oh, Matt also says Skybound trying to. I think I said Skybound trying to re-traumatize the generation. Yes.
Yes.
That Apology Tour. I'm really when they start putting out tickets for the Transformers the movie going back to the theaters, I really I might do it. I don't know. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be a 4K home release, but I've got enough copies of that movie to not do that. But that'll probably still happen. Black Cat or Transformers? That's kind of what it's coming down to. I kind of, if I had read it, even though it had, so I will say that Real American Hero that came out this week, basically, as I mull this over, so it seems like, from what I understand, last issue was basically like Snake Eyes, like OG Snake Eyes. Well, excuse me, the Snake Eyes that's not the woman's Snake Eyes was brainwashed or something. So something sounds like Scarlet was basically trying to shake him out of it in this particular issue, from what I gathered from it. And so it's them two on mission, and then, like I said, the crossover character shows up at the end for just out of nowhere. But I would need to read the last issue and this one in depth to just kind of actually catch what was going on. So that being said, you know what? On Gloom, read Transformers 34. If you haven't already, because it sounds like you might have perused it a little bit. So we can discuss later on about what to do about the Pulse team. But Black Cat number 12, I think, is what I'm going for my Kliq of the week. Which, not surprised. We usually that's usually comes up. But if there was a second one that I would do this week, I'm not going to invoke that in this week. It would be Transformers 34 probably. Or ThunderCats SilverHawks were good, but like I said, I would, if I'm weighing out the two. But that being said, that are the comics that we have had this week. We are going to go over into the news section, but first, an ad read.
Our first ad for this episode is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Blue Apron, fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron. Always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
This whole time I didn't even have the ad thing up, but that's fine. Don't worry about it, folks. You heard it.
That's okay.
And Matt, if you're still in the chat, have you been brewing any decks or have you even had time to brew any decks with the Marvel set of Magic the Gathering? I've been doing a little bit. It's some interesting stuff. Von Gloom says, if I had a 3D printer and was a bit smarter, I would make my own figure for Shredhead. I mean, you probably still could, sir. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, no, don't sell yourself short. You know, maybe somebody have already done it. Who knows?
Right.
I've seen some.
The pattern might already be out there. Yeah.
Exactly. I've seen my wife actually brought home. There's apparently somebody, one of the teachers at the school has a 3D printer, and she brought home a couple of things. One of which kind of folds like potentially could transform, but it's like just little knick-knack things. I was like, okay, let's go. I actually also want a 3D printer, but I ain't got nowhere to put it. Either way, cinematic news as we do about this time, folks. Starting off with Allan Heinberg is writing a Mr. Terrific pilot. And yes, folks, it is the recent movie Superman version of Mr. Terrific, if this article is to be believed by the Image. So apparently buried in a Hollywood Reporter article dissecting Supergirl. We don't need to talk about that. The reception on Supergirl. Apparently what I just said was the case, and sounds like it's a show starting. Is it Edi or Edi Gathegi? Is it Edi?
No,
or
I think
Edi?
it's Edi.
Do we know? Is that Edi?
I'm
okay.
pretty sure it's Edi. I've heard other people say Edi.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll go with that. Apologize for butchering the name either way. But that version of Mr. Terrific from the Superman.
Yeah, Edi Gathegi, right?
I assume that's what it is. Yeah, I've honestly never heard it.
That's how I've heard it pronounced.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard it. I don't remember, put it this way, hearing it out loud. So shout out to former Darwin. They did him wrong in first class.
They did do that.
So, but apparently, it is. Let's see. It was previously reported to be in development alongside a Jimmy Olsen spinoff, tentatively dubbed DC Crime, which is now set to begin filming this fall. And I'm presuming that the Jimmy Olsen is also the movie version and not the version we have in My Adventures with Superman.
Right. I think that's the case because our next story is Jimmy Tatro is set to play Gorilla Grodd on the aforementioned Jimmy Olsen series. The comedian will play the classic Flash villain on the HBO Max series starring Skylar Gisondo as Jimmy, set to begin filming this year. So that's what's coming up next from the DCU under James Gunn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, post Lanterns.
Right. Heaven forbid they push Batgirl out into the theaters or someplace, but no. Anyway, so yeah, I love how this article notes that brings up the Gorilla Grodd from DC from Legends of Tomorrow. So that was of which they had Gorilla Grodd in the past with Barack Obama, a young Barack Obama. Just saying, I'm not even gonna go with. Anyway, but next up, wait, Von Gloom says Jimmy Olsen screwing his way through the DCU. We don't, you know. Also, Von Gloom says the OC writer turned young. He did write Young Avengers. I totally forgot about that. Allan Heinberg. I totally forgot about that. Mm-hmm.
He did do that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I didn't mention that.
No, it's fine because I didn't look until I knew the name was familiar, but I couldn't remember. Next up, though, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II lands Emmy nomination for Wonder Man, so that's good news.
That's pretty good news.
Yeah, I mean, deserved because he did pretty good in that one joint. Apparently, it marks the actor's second Emmy nomination following his nod for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Limited Series or Movie for, of course, Watchmen in 2020. And it's third for Wonder Man, following similar recognition from Dorian and the Black Reed. Oh, the Dorian and Black Reel Awards. So I guess he's got nominations in other places. And the 78 Emmy nominations are out. I'm not going through them. You know, if you're into that stuff, then sure. There you go. Oh wait, actually, hold on. I will go through some of this because apparently. Oh no. So Abdul-Mateen is the fifth actor to receive an Emmy nomination for his work on a Marvel television project. Don Cheadle for Falcon and Winter Soldier. F. Murray Abraham for Moon Knight. Jeffrey White, of course, What If, and Chadwick Boseman, also from What If. So, there you go. Anyway, next up.
Godzilla is back and getting a nuclear bomb dropped on him in the new trailer that dropped today for Godzilla Minus Zero, the latest installment. It's a direct sequel to the 2023 Japanese film Godzilla Minus One, which was an international hit and did win the Oscar for Best Visual Effects. Yeah, the movie picks up in 1949, 2 years after the tumultuous events of Godzilla Minus One, and continues the story. So yeah, Roddykat has until then to watch Godzilla Minus One, which he actually owns.
I do. Matter of fact, I
He
was
owns
just
a
looking at
copy
it
of
yesterday. Yeah, I got it right here, like not a foot less far away from me. Also, I meant to mention this earlier, but rest in peace to Bonnie Tyler, the singer for Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Yep.
Who has passed away at 75. That's not a part of our news, but I just saw it on the side and it was like, yeah, want to bring that up. But in the news, we get over into, that's not the news that we're getting into next. Hold on. Where the heck is the rest of the, why has this been happening? Oh, no, that's correct. So we're getting into anime news, actually.
Okay, anime news.
Bunglam, you stupid for that one. I just want you to know that, but that was pretty good. Bunglam says, what did Murray Abraham do to y'all to say F him?
Oh, no.
That was pretty good. That's a good one.
That's funny.
All right. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, is it me?
Yeah, because I took the last one. Yeah.
Oh, okay, wait. So you did the Darkroom story?
No, that's you.
I did the Godzilla Minus Zero story.
Oh wait, you did. I'm sorry. I'm all thrown off.
That's why I'm like counting. I'm like, wait, what?
I'm gonna start coloring these things. Crunchyroll may be the 500. You know what? Yeah, basically there's a new streaming service for anime that's coming out, and I assume this is not pirated, because y'all know y'all some pirates out there are. But now Darkroom has entered the game with more specialized focus than some of its competitors. It's a video streaming platform that specializes in independent, foreign, art house, and cult classic genre benders. Invites, according to this article, invites fans to explore an exciting roster of newly added anime titles. Notable recent additions include the acclaimed action film Crusher Joe and the sequel Crusher Joe: A Trap of the Frozen Jail, and another Crusher Joe film. I don't know any of these. Hare and Goo Deluxe and the Hare and Goo Final, and none of these things they are mentioning I know anything about. So these are clearly very much indie things. But if you know them, great. And now you have
more power to you.
Yeah, and you have a place to watch these stuffs again if you don't already own a copy of them. If you're watching the video version, you can see me scrolling through the stuff that's been mentioned. So, sure. That's pretty much it, though. That's all it says about, like, where... Oh, here we go. The platform is available as an app from major platforms, including Google and Apple stores, which was what I look for, and it's on the web at darkroom.film. And, of course, there is a monthly membership starting at $2.99 a month. So if any of that is of interest to you, have at it. Next up.
Alrighty, Madoka Magica's long-awaited fourth film finally has a release date, 11 years after its first teaser. Goodness. The series that is basically Magical Girl Evangelion is returning after more than a decade. Okay. Let's see. Details. Madoka Magica first premiered as a 12-episode anime series from Studio Shaft in 2011. Much like Evangelion, Madoka Magica began a reboot/sequel series of films starting in 2012. Let's see here. Puella. Goodness, that sounds... So, Puella, Maggie, Madoka Magica, the movie Walpurgisnacht Rising, goodness gracious, will be released on August 28th in Japan. There's no information on an international release at this time.
I'm so glad you got that one because yeah, that was words are failing me tonight. I knew and I said it. I knew Von Gloom was going to make a Shaft reference because I was absolutely thinking it as well when he said it. Can you dig it? This wasn't in. I can't remember if we talked about.
Damn right.
Exactly. I want to talk about Shaft. Witch Hat Atelier. I can't remember if we talked about this last week, but I'm putting it here now before I get to the next one. Witch Hat Atelier, because I know some people like the thing. Season 2 isn't officially happening. So yeah, that's the thing.
Who you? I was about to say you froze just for like a half second.
Yeah, that's been happening. I don't know what's going on. So hopefully we'll get through this. But in the actual news, Cyberpunk Edge Runners 2 has revealed the English voice cast. You know, for those who like to dub. Let's see, Valeria Rodriguez from Ranma 1/2 and Pluto, Roman Carax, Kimori Lee, those are names. Nazir Tarsha, Clancy Brown, y'all know that name.
Lex Luthor.
Yes. But also Invincible and SpongeBob. Will voice the seasoned Edge Runner Week Kingsley. I have still not watched Cyberpunk Edge Runners, but I've heard very good things about it. So I know, but I had heard that Clancy Brown had joined the cast, and it was like, yeah, Lex, get yours. But yes, does it say when? Oh, so of course this news comes from Anime Expo, which wrapped up this past weekend or so. So there's going to be a couple of those in the news sections, including next up.
Right. So at Anime Expo 2026 on Friday, Hakuhodo DY Music and Pictures announced an anime adaptation of the novel Heir to a Monster Mancer, originally titled Mamon Tsukai no Museum, Midori no Hitomi no Shoujo, written by Damu Amoto and illustrated by Shirabi. Hakuhodo revealed a visual teaser and main cast for the upcoming series. So this is the release window for the Heir to a Monster Mancer anime series has not yet been announced.
Yep.
So you can look for it though later this year, maybe.
Probably. Fall or winter at best, probably. Bandai to reveal new Gundam anime series. Apparently this is coming out ahead of San Diego Comic-Con. So, and dealing with San Diego Comic-Con, because there's going to be a panel that is a dedicated, it's going to be a dedicated Gundam booth, of course. A Gunpla building workshop, which Agent 70 has experienced previously.
I did that. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was super free. You could just go in and do like a really easy snap together Gunpla model kit.
I have actually, yeah, and I believe there might have been another one at Anime Expo or someplace, because I know they've been doing it at other places as well, because I've seen online where people was like, yeah, I put together my first Gunpla. This is fun. What can I do more? So it's been getting people.
It got me. I've got unbuilt Gunpla in my home office behind me. I still haven't gotten to them, but I definitely bought them in the wake of doing it at San Diego.
Nice. So if y'all want a stream of Agent 70 putting together some Gunpla, y'all know what to do. Anyway,
that would be funny.
Yeah, hey, we can work that out. So yeah, in addition to that booth that I just mentioned, there's going to be a Gundam Showcase 2026, and then also an Unveil the Next Gundam panel, which is going to happen on that Thursday night to kick off the convention. It's going to take place in 6 BCF from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. Pacific. The panel will feature special guests from Japan who will, quote, take the stage to reveal the new anime series and map out what's next for Gundam. Attendees will receive Gundam swag bags while supplies last. And if y'all get any of the trading card game, send them my way, please. Thank you. And actually, here we go. So you get.
Are those still really hard to get a hand on?
No, not really. No.
Oh, okay.
Not as much, because I think I might have said this before. My local shop, I found some starter packs. They don't have.
Okay.
They didn't have boosters, but they did have like decks. So
Gotcha.
So yeah, there are out there finally, but in the swag bag it looks like.
Good night, Matt Wang 97. Peace
night,
out,
Matt. Check it out. Check you out later, sir. But you'll get some Gundam stuff, a headband, introductory booklet, a shirt, a Gundam card game card, the promotional card. So there you go. An inflatable beam saber, because that's not gonna annoy anyone, and a couple other things that folks would bit. So yeah, therein lies that. And I've already said the particulars. Apparently, the Gundam channel will stream a special program announcing the series, so you don't have to worry about missing out on the anime announcement. And that is the YouTube channel Gundam Info, which is, hey, if you did not know, they have a bunch of their Gundam series on there too that you can watch for free. So that's a good thing they've been doing since COVID. Next up, though,
I was going to say, here's hoping that @MattWang97 is actually not watching our show out while in the office. I hope you're home, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. He didn't, because normally he would have mentioned it. But yeah, hopefully you are home, safe, and not working.
All right.
But, next up,
so we are moving over to manga.
Manga news. Yep.
Manga news. All right, so some more Anime Expo 2026 news. Yen Press announces Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam Define and more. On Friday at its industry panel Anime Expo 2026, Yen Press announced 6 new manga licenses for its main imprint and 2 new licenses for its Yen On imprint. The biggest title is Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam Define, which offers a new take on the beloved anime series. So we have the aforementioned Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam Define Volume 1. We have the 11th Cat is Nene, Volume 1. Planarian Humans, 3 in 1. The Lowly Elf is the Black-Hearted King's Plaything. Okay. And Takane-san and Arashi-chan. You gotta love these titles. And finally, last but not least, Chihaya Restart Volume 1.
It seems like a running anime, I guess. I mean, a running manga.
I guess. And
judged by what the cover looks like. So.
Right. The track and field athlete at the very least. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm looking for timetable. So, release windows have yet to be confirmed.
Let's see. Next up, Tokyo Pop to bring new webtoons to print in 2027. Also coming from Anime Expo. And let's see, more yaoi. I mean, Boys Love is still yaoi. The Cold-Blooded Beast. That is one title. As if you're watching the video version, you can see us scrolling through the covers or whatnot. The Princess in the Hen House, which is another manhwa. And let's see, Our Paradise, which is another BL. Let's see, How to Snag an Alpha, which is yet another BL. You're sensing a theme here. All of those are going to go into print in 27. So if you are into BL yaoi, the world is your oyster cracker, I guess. Next up, we're going to do some comic book news.
Alrighty, some comic book news here.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Dark Horse reorganization in wake of the Richardson departure. So, Dark Horse Comics has announced details of a reorganization as it resets in the wake of the ouster of founder Mike Richardson. A triumvirate of department heads, other promotions, and a VP hire shape the company for its new era. So, yeah, there's a lot of restructuring here, basically, at the top of Dark Horse, and lots of names being dropped in terms of their new structure.
Indeed. Next up, Skybound Entertainment. This is why Matt left, because he knew about this already. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, no.
Skybound Entertainment begins another equity crowdfunding raise. So, and after some losses in the last couple of years. So they've begun, let's see, this new raise seeks to a maximum of $5 million, far less than the $75 million target for the 2023 raise, or the eventual raise, which totaled $17.8 million. Numbers, more numbers, and more numbers. But this article also notes that Skybound has grown dramatically since 2021 as the numbers reveal, and more numbers, and more numbers, and more numbers. Next up.
Yeah, I saw an ad for this in my social feed.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm definitely a target equity investor, apparently. G.I. Joe Tomb Raider crossover series is incoming. The 5-issue Real American Hero spin-off by Kyle Higgins and Elena Casagrande, who's a really good artist, by the way. We loved her on Black Widow. Will begin at Skybound on October 7th. So this is a 5-issue series teaming up Hasbro's heroes with video game legend Lara Croft. As I said, written by Kyle Higgins, with art by Elena Casagrande, colors by Alex Gulmares, and lettering by Pat Brosseau. The comic picks up from Lara's surprise appearance in this week's A Real American Hero number 330, where she infiltrated Castle Destro in search of her next prize. That is what Roddykat was talking about. So, let's see.
And there's also the crossover figure between the G.I. Joe Laura Tomb Raider crossover figure that is coming.
Right. The book's announcement comes shortly after Hasbro revealed a figure of Lara for the G.I. Joe classified toy line, which will go up for pre-order on Thursday, July 23rd. I had not seen that, so that's pretty cool. Lara and the Tomb Raider franchise as a whole are celebrating their 30th anniversary this year.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
Say it again, Sam.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Wait, Sam.
That's the way that's the way the quote runs in my head. Say it again, Sam. But you know, we'll like, I didn't want to say it again, Danny, because it's really whatchamacallit. Oh my god. Oh, the character's name. No, Roger. Say it again, Roger. I couldn't remember his first name. Say it again, Roger.
Gotcha.
You know,
and also, shout out to not shout out, but Danny Glover. Shout out to Danny Glover in his diagnosis of Alzheimer's, I believe.
Oh no.
That just came out recently. So speaking of.
Oh no. Very sad. Very sad.
Yeah. But it sounds like he's got his family around him, and they're hopefully going to take good care of him. Hopefully, I understand how that goes, having to deal with something similar. Not to make it about me, just saying. But yeah, that figure's coming. That was I think we talked about it last week. That crossover figure, or at least alluded to it. That's a weird choice for a crossover with G.I. Joe, but actually kind of sort of makes sense. Because you got Action Man, which is kind of a similar character, but not really. So, and I know some Tomb Raider fans, they may or may not be stoked that there's another Lara Croft figure coming, even if it is tied to G.I. Joe. Also, this variant cover with the Baroness is pretty good. As if you're watching the video version, yeah, you're looking at it right there. And actually, here's another one with Shipwreck of all people. And there's another one with, I don't know who that is. I'm sure that's a Joe. And oh man, who remembers the Marvel 20th anniversary covers that they were alluding to here? Damn it, now I'm gonna have to get that one because that was pretty good. And of course, you get some pages from the crossover that's coming. So, and I'm sure we will be talking about it when it actually comes out, because I'm pretty sure I'm locked into reading it. Next up, though, Tradmore's first creator-owned solo comic, "Touch Me Someplace Nowhere," has been announced. This is ahead of San Diego Comic-Con. It's from Oni Press has announced it, and it's the first fully creator-owned solo series, written, illustrated, and colored by the aforementioned Tradmore. So that's going to be an interestingly drawn book. As we know from Tradmore. Scheduled to launch in 2027. The series. Also, I think Von Gloom, if he's in the is in the chat as a Tradmore fan. But anyway, series is scheduled to launch in 2027. The series follows Kelly Muir, the strange heir to a powerful New York crime family, as it spirals through an alternate version of New York City, where rival gangs battle for control and wild animals roam the streets. Set against the background of crime, romance, and late-night excess, the story promises a bold mix of emotional drama, and yes, y'all know what I was thinking of when it said that, and explosive action. Yeah, there you go. Look forward to that next year. And there's a cover. Next up,
Batman and Lex Luthor team up in Justice League Night Vision as DC's post-KO era reshapes hero-villain lines. With villains granted amnesty after Omega Energy Visions, Batman and Lex Luthor investigate the danger left behind. Prometheus rises to exploit the power vacuum, forcing Batman and Lex Luthor into an uneasy alliance to stop him. Mark Waid, Joshua Williamson, and Miguel Mendonça set up future DC threats ahead of the looming, good God, absolute crisis. So this is set to come out, looking for release, July 29th, 2026, at a cover price of $5.99. This is a one-shot Vision special, Night Vision special.
Prometheus. How do you know that name? Okay. Yeah, so you hear some art from said thing. There you go. Next up, though, we get into a little bit of Toy Corner / video game news with, actually, well, technically it's still comic book news, but new Marvel comic to explain why everyone's fighting in Marvel Tokon. So I think we talked about when this was announced, but there's going to be a Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls comic book that's going to come along with the video game, of course, isn't a tie-in. So it's called Marvel Tokon Marvel Tokon First Strike #1 is a one-shot comic, and Marvel teases that the tie-in will, quote, expand the game's mythology and reveal the exciting backstories of its playable heroes, as well as its antagonist, their promoter and champion. And there's a sneak preview of the book in this article if you are interested in that, or you're just like, I don't care, give me the video game next month. Which, admittedly, I'm there. And also, just a quick reminder that in a couple of weeks that there's going to be a demo, or an open beta of the game at the end of this month. But, of course, we'll talk about that when closer to time. Next up.
Alrighty. Jubilee is coming to Marvel Rivals. The explosive X-Men will join the game in Season 9. Oh my God. Season 9 already? Beloved X-Men character Jubilee is joining the ever-growing roster of Marvel Rivals. Developer NetEase Games announced Tuesday during a live stream. Jubilee will debut in Season 9, which is set to be released on July 10th. Okay.
I'm interested. I don't care enough about that game because there's a lot going on in it, but the characters do look good. And also, I specifically did not pull the other article talking about the summer skins and a certain captain's bulge therein that people have been having mixed emotions about. Yeah, but folks who play that game know that's out there, so therein lies that. And I think they did something about that already. So anyway. Next up, though, Xbox reportedly considering canceling Arcane's Blade game. Don't do it. Don't do it. But this is via IGN in an email sent to, and I had heard about this before I even saw this article, but Xbox CEO Asha Sharma announces layoffs, which, yeah, that's been a big thing in the news. Xbox laid off a bunch of people, a lot of people, including 1,600. Wait, hold on. That will total 3,200 employees losing over the current financial year, including 1,600 losing their jobs as of this article, which was yesterday. Yeah, it's crazy. Blade developer Arcane Studios, which is based in France, will enter the required consultation with its Works Council to, quote, review potential strategic options. Blade itself is not mentioned in the letter. And it goes on to other studios that got killed off already, including Compulsion Games, which made South of Midnight, which is a great game. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Compulsion Games was rumored to be killed off, but apparently they and Double Fine are going independent again. So that's great news for both of them, because Double Fine Studios was independent and got bought by Xbox, and now they're independent again. Which, why did they get bought in the first place? But that's a whole nother story in the first place. And Ninja Theory is mentioned to death, but not to turn this into a video game podcast. Yeah, it pretty much goes on to the stuff that's going on with Xbox, but also goes back to mentioning the fact that the Blade game was a thing, or is it still a game? Hopefully. Next up.
All right. There's a new Spider-Man role-playing game officially confirmed for September 2026. So this is obviously going to be on the heels of Brand New Day coming out in theaters. So, this will serve as the perfect opportunity to once again step into the webbed red boots of the titular character and swing across New York. At the very least, it'll be a fun distraction before Marvel's Wolverine releases. That's an editorial comment from the writer of this article. So, So this is shortly after the release of the upcoming Marvel Secret Wars RPG. Spider-Man is getting his very own Marvel Multiverse role-playing game expansion. Okay. And that's what this is. All right.
And it's
So this is
pre-ordered,
similar to the Incredible X-Men RPG expansion that came before it. Okay. So this is Spider-Man Midtown Mayhem.
Yes. And it's going to be $14.99.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was looking for that. I was like, where is that? Oh, it's the next to last paragraph. Buried.
Apparently, Cody Ziegler is penning. So the book also comes with a brand new comic book prologue that's penned by Cody Ziegler. So I assume that's going to be out there at some point. As you know, as folks know, Cody Ziegler wrote until previously. Actually, I think he might be still doing the Infinity webcomic, but he wrote Miles Morales until recently. But yeah, I've been steady collecting those RPG books. Whether I'm actually going to use them or not, well, I don't know. But the art's good in them. Also, if not, but I do actually want to run a campaign in one of those books at some point. Still need to get the Secret Wars one. But anyway, next up, first look at inside the KPop Demon Hunter. This is the KPop Demon Hunters block, by the way.
Nice.
So we get a first look at the graphic novel for the movie. It is 208 pages. It's called the 208-page movie and comics edition is out now in the US, and the UK release is going to be on August 26th from Puffin. This is coming from Random House, by the way. Or these are coming from Random House, by the way. The 708 K-Pop Demon Hunters official screen comic boxed set lands November 3rd, 2026 with deluxe extras, and both editions are previewed side by side according to this article, and lettered and whatnot. So basically, yeah. Yeah, I pretty much wrapped up everything. You can see, the various flavors of the book, of the box book and whatnot. There's the Saja Boys one, there's the Huntrix one, there's the regular cover, and there's an alternate cover, or the movie and comics cover, and there's the box ones. So there you go, folks. And also some pages.
Right, and I think Roddykat still has not watched this movie.
That is correct, but creeping ever closer, ever swiftly into doing so, though.
There you go.
So next up,
Mattel expands its K-pop Demon Hunters lineup with a Rumi and Jinnu finale battle. That is, it's not final battle, but finale battle. 2-pack based on the film's climax. The 6.5-inch K-pop Demon Hunters figures feature 18 plus points of articulation, extra hands, and interchangeable faces. Rumi includes her 4-tiger sword and Huntrix lightstick, while Jinnu packs his guitar and Saja Boy's lightstick. Priced at $44.99, the K-pop Demon Hunters Rumi and Jinnu finale battle figure set is slated for release in July 2026. All those K-pop Demon Hunters toys are finally getting to market.
Finally, exactly. If you're watching the video version, you see me blowing through some of the images of the figures and poses and whatnot and whatnot. Next up, Mattel brings KPop Demon Hunters Ramyeon scene to San Diego Comic Con. Ramyeon, yes, that's what I said. That's what I meant to say anyway. To San Diego Comic Con 2026. So it's the How It's Done Ramyeon scene 3-pack as San Diego exclusive. The set recreates the fan favorite Ramyeon moment with Rumi, Mira, and Zoe in chibi style Huntrix concert looks. Let's see, it's from Mattel. It's going to have premium packaging with plain themed diorama box and layered battle damage details. It's going to cost $49.99 and will launch July 23rd via Mattel Creations and at South. Why do I keep wanting to say South? San Diego Comic Con. I know where I am, but Jesus Greesh. And you can see the figures if you're watching the video version, of course. There you go. Next up.
All right, Fortnite, TMNT, NECA, Michelangelo, and Donatello. So NECA has updated with news on their next two Fortnite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 7-inch scale figures. Michelangelo and Donatello join the lineup. Each figure includes their signature weapon and 2 sets of interchangeable hands. These will be coming to Target stores this month. And let's see if there's any pricing. Oh, no pricing. But pretty cool looking figures.
Mm-hmm. As I scroll through them. Here you go. Here you go. Next up, not last, but here's the other thing that we were alluding to earlier. Zoinks! Hasbro rolls out Transformers Scooby Doo collaboration action figure set. So yes, folks, it is a Transformers mystery machine. And yes, Roddykat absolutely went and pre-ordered it. And as we found out,
I did not, but good for you, man.
As we found out, Matt Wang 97 also did.
That's right. Goodness gracious, what a thing to pre-order.
Yeah, you know. Funnily enough, this article has mentioned the other stuff that I had already bought and have probably shown on this show, such as the Ghostbusters mashup Ecto-1 Ectotron figure, the Back to the Future Gigawatt feature, and the Stranger Things one, which actually I did not get that one. That's the only one of those I did not get.
Mysterious
and also
Prime. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and also they did not mention the Street Fighter ones, which I'm still looking for at least 1 or 2 of them. But so, as this article says, don't know anybody who could have predicted Hasbro would announce a Transformers Scooby Doo collaboration. Honestly, you know, if you throw some stuff at the wall, it's what else was left, honestly. Because they've also did the Turtles. They didn't mention that one also, so that's already off the board. So there's a 6-inch scale Mysterious Prime figure, as I just said, converts from robot to mystery machine inspired van in 19 steps. Includes 4 swappable heads based on Shaggy, Fred, Daphne, and Velma. No Scooby though, but sure. Automutt, however, converts between Scooby-Doo inspired dog and a box of Scooby snacks in 6 steps. So kind of almost like a cassette style, I guess.
It's still available.
It is still available, yes, because I did mine prior to the show, right before the show, actually. So, pre-orders for the action figure was today as of the recording of the show, and as I just said, it's still out there as of the recording of the show. So, $49.99 is the price. Let's see.
What?
$49.99.
That's not what I see.
Yeah, I know. On Hasbro Pulse, it says $57.99.
$57.99.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't know why how this article is saying that, or where they're getting that information from. But yes, it's definitely $57.99.
Yeah, it's definitely $57.99.
But
so yeah, I mean, I see where what Von Gloom is talking about. They should have made a Scooby head as well.
That's what I'm saying.
Because it looks like there are heads that I guess are poking that poke out of the top of the Mysterious Prime. But I guess Scooby's his own Transformer.
Yes, Scooby's. Yeah, if you're watching the video version, you can see the figure in transformed and in robot states. So yeah,
Right. So that, I guess that kind of makes sense, where he's his own transformer, and the mysterious prime machine gets the other characters.
I want to say they might have done a similar thing to the Turtles van Transformers, because I want to say there might be like pop off heads for the various turtles. But I agree. I would have also wanted it to have a Scooby head, but I absolutely see why not, because it makes more sense this way. Even if they didn't have the Scooby Snacks one, which therein lies that. But yeah, that's out there. I'm gonna show it off when it comes in this fall. So, and there's the packaging. There's the other accoutrement. There's some more pictures of it. And there you go. Last but not least, speaking of Transformers.
Transformers Beyond Reality. Redux VR Games Showcase Summer 2026 official trailer. You can check out the Transformers Beyond Reality Redux announcement trailer for this on-rails shooter game that will be available on Meta Quest 2, Meta Quest 3, and Meta Quest 3S on September 3rd, 2026, with new features included in the Meta Quest version. So this is actually already available on PS VR 2. Yeah. Listen, if you're going to be shooting on rails, that's where you're going to be doing it, on those VR platforms.
Yeah. And hey, Transformers is not a terrible franchise to do something like that with. I mean, it would probably make more sense because if you did it the other way, people would probably get sick. But but yeah, that's the thing. So yeah, I looked at the trailer for it. It looks kind of interesting. Whether I'll try it out or not, probably at some point. We'll see. And that's it for the news, folks. Can we get one last ad read?
Our last ad read for this episode. Keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
All right, folks, that is it for this week's show. I'm given what you told me prior to the show. I don't think we're going on Movie Protocol next week, correct?
No. Unfortunately, we are not going on Movie Protocol next week. If I'm lucky enough to be able to catch the Odyssey at some point around next weekend, I'll be happy.
Sure. I mean, technically there's a tie because you got Spider-Man and isn't Tom Hardy in that also, or am I tripping?
Tom Hardy
in that movie? I'm not. I don't know. Everybody and their grandma's in that movie. Who knows?
Yeah.
So there's probably just a couple other notables in there, but regardless.
Yeah, Tom Holland is in both the Odyssey and Spidey.
Right.
So that he's got two big movies coming out this month.
And it's a Christopher Nolan joint if you're still on those. So,
yeah. So is Zendaya, come to think of it. Zendaya's in both of those movies as well.
Wait, is she in
She's in the Odyssey as well.
Is she? I don't remember seeing her.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And well,
Yes.
she's in Dune. He's not in Dune, but she is.
Right.
So yeah, there's them folk working. So congrats. But yeah, that's it. Like I said, no Movie Protocol. We'll be back next week with more My Adventures with Superman, more X-Men 97. See how that's going, and of course more books of the week, and leading up to San Diego Comic-Con, more than likely more news of stuff that's going to be there.
Right.
But yeah, as with that, this has been. Oh wait, I have been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at Newsnet on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_7 on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. You can find this here podcast on the Coldest Leather Podcast Network, the CSPN.US.
Do it today.
You can also find this on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal Little Podcast Network SoundCloud page, but also recording every Thursday night, 9:30/closer to 10 o'clock on Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/TheClickNation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts. That helps people find our show there. If you're watching on video, please click like, subscribe, smash that notification button so you know when we're on live and direct. Leave us all the positive 5-star reviews. Remember to smash that like button.
Indeed. Yeah. Later on, Von Gloom, appreciate you for being here, and of course,
Yes, thank you.
and of course, Matt Wang for popping in earlier. So hopefully, we will get him again very soon, actually on the show.
Yes, it's going to be sooner rather than later because San Diego's right around the corner.
It is indeed. So with that, folks, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
My time is up. Peace out to Brooklyn.
Good evening, Red.
Would you believe it's Dr. Doom?
What's on your evil mind?
Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really hired Mr. Stark?